Welcome to the Core Cars News Tech Lab. Today, we're going to look at some major mistakes that Disney in particular has made that almost killed cord cutting. Now, they're not the only ones. NBC Universal, Peacock, Warner Bros. Discovery's Max, and many others have all made similar mistakes to one extent or another. But in the last couple of years, Disney has publicly admitted they made some mistakes with their cord cutting strategy and are working to address it. So we're going to focus on Disney. But many of these, and we'll touch on some of the big examples, applied to things like Max, Peacock, Paramount Plus, and others. So we're going to dive into that, break it down in this video. 3 things I think Disney made a big mistake on that could potentially sink their cord cutting efforts. Now, first of all, before we get into it, we post videos like this every day, breaking down the news and world of cord cutting with reviews, how-to guides, and more. Please consider hitting that subscribe button or hitting that thumbs up. Doing one or both lets YouTube know you enjoy what we do here, so they recommend our videos to more people. With that said, let's dive into it. The number one thing that Disney and pretty much every major streaming service made a mistake on was pricing. When all these services launched, I think the executives had one good question on their hands, and they did see it and they tried to answer it, but I think they made a mistake in how, and they, at least with Disney, publicly acknowledged this. They priced their service too cheap. Disney and other services know that there's a lot of competition, over 100 paid services in the United States and hundreds of free ad-supported ones. So they priced their service very low to try to subscribe as many people as possible, with the idea if we can just get them to subscribe, we'll lock them in and then we can raise the price and become profitable. So Disney and other services launched their, like Disney Plus, reportedly below cost at what was clearly intended to be a temporary price to try to lock in new subscribers. But in that, they set an expectation of what the value of this content was, and because of that, they hurt themselves. They set the value of their content too low to the point where people expected that, and once they raised it, now people are less willing to subscribe. The second big mistake they made was producing too much content. Disney has talked about this also, about how they flooded Disney Plus, Hulu, and others with a ton of new originals. You think back 20 years ago, you got a handful of new big-name TV shows from Disney and ABC every year, just a couple. But on Disney Plus, Hulu, and others, you're getting dozens, sometimes it feels like every month, flooding the market. And that's not even talk about Peacock, Paramount Plus, and others. So it's impossible to watch all this content. And this content's not cheap. It costs a lot of money. And that helps drive up the cost of these streaming services. And lastly, I think Disney's a big victim of this. They're splitting their market. They have some people in Hulu, they got some people on ESPN Plus, and some people on Disney Plus. And to get maybe all the content, you're going to have to subscribe to 2 or 3 services. With that, Disney's working on a fix for that. I'll talk about that in a minute. But those are the 3 big mistakes that we see Disney and others making. They priced their service too low, and now that they're trying to make it a price where they can be profitable, people are understandably upset about that. They're producing so much content, which is driving up the cost of their service. And lastly, they got it split across 3 different services. You have to subscribe to 3 different things to get everything you want. So what's Disney doing to address this? Well, for the price, there's not a lot they can do about going back in time, but they have said that they are understanding the complaints and they're taking that into account for their pricing. To help keep pricing down, they're cutting back on the amount of content they're producing. They're going to go for the quality idea over quantity that they've been doing recently. They're not alone in this. Warner Bros. Discovery's Max streaming service recently said, hey, we're going to switch our focus from youth programs to adult. They ended their partnership with Sesame Street. They kicked Looney Tunes off the service and are cutting back on other children's programs to focus on content made for more adult-aged people. Disney's doing the same, not necessarily dropping content, though they have dropped some content from their lineup, not to the same extent I think Max and others have, but they've announced that they're cutting back on the amount of new content. Instead of just throwing it out there, and I'll just talk about the industry as a whole, not just Disney Plus here. Some of that content out there for streaming was relatively low quality, mass produced, hate to say it's almost junk. And now they're focusing on getting rid of that low quality stuff that really didn't help them at all and focused on the quality, the big name titles, the kind of what they did 30 years ago, try to get a few really good quality shows on ABC, do the same thing on Disney Plus. That must-watch TV, that show that becomes viral because it's really good, will help them more than 100 low-quality shows there. And lastly, Disney's increasingly been looking at consolidating their content. You saw Hulu building into Disney Plus. I expect to see things like that happening. More bundle deals to give subscribers options on things. While Disney is stuck still at this moment, trying to figure this all out, I don't think Hulu is going anywhere anytime soon, as they still are, I believe, working on a finalized deal with Comcast to finish the purchase of that. Disney has acknowledged that there's just a lot of streaming services on the market. 5 years ago, the average cord cutter subscribed to 6 or 7 services. While prices were cheaper, 2020 was 2020, we were home watching television. In 2025, according to a survey of over 1,900 of you, 3 or fewer streaming services were the average number of streaming services cord cutters subscribe to. Because of that, these services have to be more high quality, attract you, and be a reason to keep you coming back. Increasingly, free ad-supported services like Pluto TV, Tubi, the Roku channel, and more are where people are going to supplement their viewing, replacing paid services, and are even more willing to rotate them. Instead of having Disney Plus all year, they may have it for a few months. Binge watch that new Star Wars show or new Marvel series and then dump it. That's going to become more and more prevalent, I think, in years to come as these prices keep going up. Now, Disney's not alone on this. Warner Bros. Discovery, NBC Universal, and Paramount also made similar mistakes to one extent or other, or even worse than Disney did. But I think Disney's a great example of how a company came close to killing themselves with cord cutting. We'll take a look at this, check back here, but let me know. What do you think of these 3 things? I think these are the 3 biggest mistakes they made when they first launched. Underpricing their service, setting unrealistic expectations. So starting at 5, if they started at 10, I think they would be in a much better place today, closer to profitability for some of them. And people would be less upset about a $15 price point. Going from 10 to 15 is a big jump. Or 5 to 15, I should say, versus 10 to 15. Rushing price hikes. The idea that they anticipated is sell their content below and then they would just raise the price. When you don't have contracts, people are able to bail on you. Producing too much content, just assuming you have to flood the market, that it's just a numbers game. If I have more and more content, it'll help. Versus producing good quality content. And having too many streaming services on the market is a big problem. It used to be ABC, Fox, NBC, and even some CBS content was all on Hulu. Now they're all on their individual services. I expect to see some consolidation on that. Maybe Paramount Plus and Peacock. Keep an eye on that one. But we'll see what happens here in the months to come. But let me know what you think. I'd love to hear from you. Well, that's it for today. There's my 3 things I think that Disney screwed up with cord cutting. Until next time, don't forget to hit that subscribe button or that thumbs up. Doing one or both helps us a lot. We'll be back again real soon with another video.